Hey everybody, it's Dr. Cole. Today we're going to talk about cellular health. We are made up of over 72 trillion cells. That's a lot of cells, guys. And if we do not have cellular health, we cannot be healthy because we are made up of cells. So by understanding the cellular system, we'll be able to gain information as to why you may be going through what you're going through and why we as a nation are struggling with these chronic issues that have seemingly no solution in the standard model of care. So by going outside the standard model of care, we can find true answers in functional medicine. And another term for functional medicine is systems medicine. So we're going to look at the cellular system and how it impacts your health. Our lifestyle, our modern lifestyle, has wreaked havoc on our health. And whenever a society is introduced to a Western lifestyle, you see the rise of chronic disease. You see this throughout Asia, you see this in different island populations that you have otherwise, before the introduction of Western lifestyle, you have relatively no chronic disease. And then when you have the inception or the introduction of a Western lifestyle, an standard American diet into that society, you see the epidemic rise of chronic disease, diseases like heart disease, autoimmune diseases, cancer, depression. The list goes on and on. The things that are plaguing the United States then go across the world when its lifestyle is introduced to the indigenous population. So we need to look at why this is. And there are many different systems that come into play, but let's look at the basic foundation of what we're made up of, those cells. This is drawn to represent a cell. And again, if you've seen my past videos, I draw very, very well. You guys can know this is a cell, right? So this is a cell, and every cell is lined with a bilipid membrane. So it's made up of fat. It's made up of saturated fat, which is why, again, looking at the other videos on our YouTube channel, we see why eating fat, good fat, is so important for cellular health, for brain function, and for many other reasons. So when we are healthy, this membrane is healthy. So there you have what's called cellular membrane fluidity. You have a fluid membrane, so nutrients can get in and the bad stuff can get out and everything's fine. You have homeostasis and you have health. But when we have a toxic lifestyle, when we have the standard American diet, when we eat bad fats, processed fats, industrialized fats, so the canola oils, the soybean oils, the vegetable oils. So when we have this standard American diet, the bad fats, the processed sugars, the chemicals, the toxins, and you have the genetically modified wheats and grains, what happens on a cellular level, you get cellular rigidity, right? So this is to represent cellular rigidity. So instead of having fluidity, you have this membrane that's more solid than it should be. So what happens, everything inside here, we have the nucleus, we have the mitochondria. Wow, this is really digressing as far as the artistic capabilities. But when we have all the bad stuff in our cells that our body produces because it's creating energy, and the body's supposed to get rid of it and recycle it and get it out of the body. But because of this cellular membrane rigidity, all the byproducts of creating energy, of creating ATP, gets built up and gets stored inside of the membrane and cannot exit. And guess what? All the good stuff, the glucose that our cell needs to produce the energy, can't get in either. So the energy production of our body goes down. The ATP goes down because glucose is not getting into the cell. And the ATP, the gasoline, the energy that your body needs to produce to be healthy is going down as well because it's not getting the glucose that it needs. It's like if I lit a match in this room, it's going to eventually build up into a fire, right? I'm going to have to open the door to allow the smoke out. But when the door is shut, when the membrane is shut in your body, that smoke, those toxins cannot get out of your cell. So when you have cellular inflammation, what we need to be mindful of is the nucleus, where our DNA lies. When you have a buildup of inflammation in the cell, when you have a toxic, inflamed cell, and you have a membrane that is inflamed and rigid, you can have an activation of genes. Genetic predispositions for diabetes, for cancer, for heart disease, for weight loss resistance. The nutrients in our body that downregulate genetic expressions that are responsible for turning off and turning off genes are methylators. So methylation, this biochemical process that is responsible for keeping us alive and healthy, gets downregulated because we're not getting enough oxygen inside of the cell. So this hypoxia, this downregulation, this decrease of oxygen because of the cellular rigidity turns on genetic expression. So this study of epigenetics, these environmental factors that we're talking about today, is a growing field in science. It's fascinating, but when you understand these epigenetic factors, where research estimates over 90% of how long you live is determined by the choices that you make in your life. But this 10% factor, this genetic factor, can be turned on and turned off by cellular health and by methylation. So we need to increase glutathione, which is a methyl donor, which is a huge methylator. But glutathione, again, is down-regulated because of this hypoxia inside the cell, because of decrease of oxygen. But it all is determined by this rigidity of the cell membrane. So you have to deal with these epigenetic factors. You have to deal with these underlying dysfunctions that cause people to have chronic disease. What we need to do is actually regenerate that cell membrane, and we do that through the protocols in functional medicine. So check out drwillcole.com, set up a consultation to see how we systematically regenerate that cell membrane. We restore cellular health, because when you deal with these issues, then you can start seeing a reversal of chronic disease. And it's amazing that people are completely plagued with these chronic diseases. They feel like they have to live on a laundry list of medications for the rest of their life until they die. But the truth is, when you deal with these underlying systems, like the cellular system, you can get sustainable health. You can rejuvenate your body and not live with a destiny that's just the only thing that's changing is your prescription list.